Hello and welcome to another wonderful episode of TalkBack. I'm Dio Kiji, and with me, of course, I have my co-host, my beautiful, beautiful co-host here today. On my left, we have Cassandra, Black Barbie, lawyer, activist, mother, model, writer, so many things, motivational speaker. And on my right, we have Natalie, natural, beautiful Natalie. And Natalie, there's so much I could say about Natalie. Like, you can just tell, like, I had to just hold myself for a second because she is one of those people that is full of so much layers. She's an activist, she's a writer, she's a talker, she's a teacher, she's a fighter of the youth. Same as myself, I love the youth, and so do we all on this panel. Today, though, our hot topic is a juicy one. It's one you've all been waiting for, it's one you've been asking for, it's one you've been screaming about. And we were like, you know what, today we're going to dedicate that to the topic. But before we get there, let's hit up our hot topics for the week. I don't know if you guys have been active on social media, but there's been a lot going on.
Yeah, it really has.
Right, so the Billboard this year, they've created a US charts for Afrobeats songs, mainly focused around Wizkid. Actually, was the first thing that I saw, and they've kind of ditched the reggae song charts.
Wow. Right,
and following that news, the Billboards, everyone's kind of like making noise about it because the people in the reggae industry and the artists from the reggae industry, that's how I even found out, it came through them. And somebody had put out to say, why is it that that we're being ditched for Afrobeats? Not that they complain about Afrobeats, I mean, it's a win because it's black music, but it's the fact that the Billboards decided to remove reggae music. Why did they leave? Why did they do that?
Yeah.
Did you hear about this?
Yes, I did hear about it actually. You know, I'm a big Afrobeats fan.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, I am team Afrobeats.
Yes, yes.
But at the same time, reggae is established. It's been there for years and years and years. And I love the way that Afrobeats has come through. And I think it's the right thing. Mm. But they're not the same genres. So, you can only have one black section. Mm. So really, you should be able to have both.
It's actually quite disrespectful. Reggae music, dancehall has been dominant since the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. There's space for them both. And I think that back then, maybe like from the 80s and 90s, there was always a division that was pushed between the Africans and the Caribbeans, don't you think?
Yeah,
even in school.
Move forward.
Yeah, so it's as if it's the same system of divide and conquer, separate them, cause a little, animosity between the two. Whereas, me being a Jamaican woman myself, I love Afrobeats, but I love my dancehall, my reggae, I love my cultural music. Do you understand? So I can't comprehend why they would do that.
I feel like the way you do, I feel like there's a space for both types of music, and without the reggae music and the dancehall music, I don't feel like Afrobeats would have even had a space to enter. So for me, it's kind of like, why are you doing that? There's two different types of things. Yeah. One has a different feel. Yeah. It's still our people, and this one has a new sound. It's different. We like it, but why do you have to replace one with the other? Exactly. Why can we not have both of them back to back? And that's where I'm kind of like on the fence.
They are similar. It's similar genres, but they are very different. So I feel like you get things like in Ghana, you've got the reggae dance or Afrobeat scene. So there is some kind of crossover.
Yes.
But they should be recognised separately, and I don't think. But I think you see a lot of music now in the mainstream media. You see a lot of collaborations now where you get Caribbean artists working with American artists, African artists. So I don't know. Maybe that's why they're blanking.
Well, I definitely think there's an influence of the reggae in the Afrobeats. Even Burna Boy himself, do you understand? I was like, is this guy Jamaican? Like, he's got the flow, he's got the, he's just got the style. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that it deserves that recognition, just like you said, that maybe without dancehall, reggae, without that genre of music, would Afrobeats have even developed to where it is now?
Not taking it away.
It did develop though. It did develop on its own. I mean, obviously,
I would say there's an influence.
I mean, really, you could say that African music has influenced Caribbean music. It depends how far you go back. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. So, well, if you're going back to like times when slavery, when there was a lot of oppression, there was music that Bob Marley was singing. That was singing to all black people. When he was singing about, when he was singing them serious, I can't remember the names of the songs right now. But he was singing them. Come on, when I sing them it didn't matter where you were from. As a black person, you felt that. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and Afrobeats honour that. A lot of the Afrobeats artists honour that, but that's what I'm saying. Like you said, it is almost like a divide and rule. Now you're causing conflicts where it's like, oh, why is this and why is that? But really, we should be able to celebrate both.
Yeah,
champion both sounds.
Yes.
I mean, I'd like to see them remove pop or rock or something. Why don't you remove one of those and replace it with something? But no, they've decided to do something else. Anyway, let's move on. So this week we saw the moment 800 people were sacked off the P&O ferry movement. So I don't know if you guys heard about it. This boss, he comes online on a Zoom call with all his employees, 800 and also, and he basically sacks all of them because they don't have any money.
Oh, wow.
Now, what the noise is that it's breaking UK law. The UK Parliament are now trying to work around this, where they want to try and turn it around on the guy and say, well, you can't actually do this because according to UK law, there is a process and there is steps to doing this. But the guy was like, yeah, I know, but I had to get rid of people. And because he's actually admitted it, they're saying they want him to step down. The UK people are saying we want him to step down. We don't care if he doesn't have any money, that he should have followed the process. Maybe he would have got help and support. Yeah. What did you guys think about that?
I think that he's under a duty to his employees to do things properly. And if he doesn't, that's literally a breach of contract, right? The problem is if you're going to sue, where you're getting the money from. He's already spent the money, he's done. Right. So
with 800 people, that's a lot of people's livelihoods.
In one go.
And it's just like, well, sorry, I can't afford it. So yeah, there's employment laws to protect people. So,
but then when you're taking that employer to court, where's the funds coming from?
Yeah. So it's just flogging a dead horse, really.
Well, I hope they actually do something about it, because I'd hate to see 800 people lose their livelihood. Like I could just imagine they've all got families. Yeah. They're planning a year ahead. When I get paid at the end of the year, this, that, the other, and then all of a sudden you've not been given any time to look for another job or anything, and just been told.
But people say this, they will argue it's the climate, and that's how things are. We're in a time now where, like, look, P&O, the ferries, and people going on holiday. We've just had 2 years of like people not traveling. So I mean, from his side of it, like, what is he supposed to do? Like,
I don't know. I feel like I want something done, but I can't blame the guy. What he knew when you came into the UK to come and do business, you have certain things that you need to adhere to and follow, and he hasn't done that. So for him and his own negligence, I feel like he should be penalised. He should pay something. He should get money from his investors and sort out people a little severance, make them go on their way, look for a new job. At least give them time. That's what I feel. Anyway, let's move on to G.I. Jane jokes gone wrong.
Oh, wow.
G.I. Jane jokes. Guys, have you been seeing what's been going on online? As in, my ears don't fall, my belly don't fall, everything full. It's like, okay, so what happened was Chris Rock. Is it Chris Rock?
Yeah.
Yes, Chris, not Tucker.
Not Tucker. I know. I keep saying Tucker. My son was like, I always confuse. Right. So Chris Rock was presenting something, and he made a joke about Will and Jada, and basically Will goes up and you see that? Will smacks him right in his gob. The guy didn't really shake much, but he felt it, and then he continued to make jokes.
You got a swift slap. He had to.
But Will's shouting. He's shouting right here, saying,
"Don't you
keep your wife's name out my mouth.
Keep my wife's name
out your fucking mouth."
Right. And everyone is kind of like, what the hell just happened? I mean, Lupita was in the background, and she looked.
Because we didn't know what happened. We don't know if it was staged. You had to literally use body language, right? You had to replay it.
All right, let me see. Who thinks it's staged? Put your hand up.
No way.
And
you think it's staged?
Because
I'm in between.
Are you for real?
I'm in between.
Did you see the body language?
The body language.
Now, 99% of communication, is non-verbal.
Right.
The body language said it all.
What did they say? What did they say?
Jada,
Exactly. Bless
he
you.
laughed because initially he laughed,
Yeah,
right?
he
And
did.
then you look right. He looked at Jada, and Jada was kind of like she was just not impressed.
He
yeah,
laughed.
and then he did laugh,
And then he walks up. If somebody's walking towards you in that way, because I've been having this debate in my WhatsApp group all day about if it's staged or not. One of my friends like, it's staged, it's ridiculous. He's standing there, somebody's walking towards you with big random,
And you're standing there waiting for it.
What did you want him to do? Run?
No, but I know, that's what I'm saying. But you're standing there, your hands are behind your back. And I've got one meme where it shows you he's like his next brace is ready for it.
No way.
But it's the thing is, it's a time. He's made the joke. Will's laughed. He's seen Jada's face. He's taken a moment. Then he's gotten up.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I'm Chris, I'm stepping back, innit? Because I just made a comment about your wife. Instead, my man's standing
He
there.
didn't expect it. He doesn't expect Will to come up and.
No, you wouldn't.
Did he slap him or punch him?
No,
I
he
had to
slapped
replay
him.
it a couple of times.
Was it a slap?
It was a hat. It was a palm. You can see his arm.
Was it a slap?
It was a slap.
I said it was a punch, and
No,
I see
it was
half
a
of
slap.
Will's face missing on some
No,
meat.
that's
Chris's
exaggeration.
face missing.
Okay, let's watch it back.
I don't really know. I feel like there's deeper reasons.
No,
It was a slap.
It was a slap. He stood there, both hands are down. If somebody's approaching you in that kind of manner, like you said, body language is.
But he's waiting for it. Look, his hands are behind his back.
He's smiling, and then
No
look
way.
when Will turns around.
No, I don't think
When
he
Will
acted
turns
that.
around,
He looked so
you
awkward
can
after the
see
slap.
his face. He's like trying to.
Because he can't believe it.
No
He can't believe that he just slapped him in the face.
They're
He
acting.
can't believe he
teeth.
just trust me.
He's getting teeth.
What else could he say other than
No,
he
I'm
just
talking
slapped?
about Will. After Will slaps him, he turns around.
He gave
It's
a
like,
smirk,
you know, like
innit?
the smirk on his face. Like,
No, I don't
if you're
think it was
really mad
staged.
and this man just kissed your wife and you've gone up there and like, raw man, he's not gonna be like.
At the end of slapping someone. Okay, let me come on your
Listen,
side.
I
Let me come on your side and say for a second, it's not staged. The reasons why it might not be staged for me is, all right, Chris Rock. Damn, God. Chris Rock has, I remember in 2016, he made a joke back then about Jada Pinkett boycotting the Oscar, right? And because she boycotted the Oscar because of lack of people of color. She was saying, I'm not going, they don't really bring our people up here, I'm not coming. So Chris Tucker makes a joke about it then, and I don't think that it's ever been like ashed out.
Yeah.
So they keep going on about it, and I feel like that coupled with the entanglement situation and Will being a joke out in social media, I feel like that might be enough reason. And also, let's not forget, we don't think of a black man as having emotions and feelings, and we just expect them to be strong.
I think that 'cause I do believe it could be real, but there's a high chance it could be staged. But what I'm saying is, with what happened with the whole entanglement situation, like that's still hot topics now. We're talking about it on the second show. So he's almost been pushed under pressure as a man. He's been made out to be the fairy. She's the man in the relationship and all of this stuff. So it's almost like toxic masculinity. Like, I kind of have to man up and show these people you can't talk about my wife like that. So that's why I thought at first when I first saw it, it's like he's almost trying to man up.
Right.
And his mental health, he's been going through it. He's been having to face everybody talking about
him, his wife,
entanglement, his children, all of this stuff. So it's like now he has to try and show that he's not the pansy boy that he's being made out to.
Okay, so off the back of that, what I think also plays a big important part was because after he'd slapped up Chris, he collects his award after, right? And if you break down the awards speech, it was deep. Why? Because he said he felt like God was asking, after doing the new movie, King Richard's movie, you know, the one of Serena Williams and Venus Williams' dad? It's about him and the struggles that he had being a father of two black women that were constantly being racially abused, and he used to react in order to protect his children. And what the media did was play him as a mad black man. And Will, falling into this role, in his speech he said, felt like God was calling him to protect the unprotected. Yeah. So going back to the King Richard's movie, he was trying to come up with, I've not protected my family, I've not protected my son when they're spoken about my son and my daughter, and now the situation with his wife, and they're still 2 years later or a year later after the Red Table Talk, they're still jabbing at my wife. And I feel like in that speech was why I'm thinking he felt like he needed to do something to silence the naysayers, to stop the people. Anyway, we can go on about this.
Okay. I was going to say that there was an article that came out today talking about she's got really bad alopecia, so she's got alopecia, so it's something medical and it's feeling protective. Yeah. So there's a lot of sides to the story, but
no, she does have alopecia, and obviously at the time she was being humiliated, literally. People were laughing, but you know, Chris Rock, he is a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian. He's raw. He's unfiltered. Yeah. You sit front stage, you go and get it. You understand? Right, so if you roll up there looking like G.I. Joe, what's it? G.I. Jane, you go and get it. But I think that because it's obviously quite a sensitive topic for her and something that she's actually dealing with. I actually
but her husband some years back.
No, he did giggle though.
Not even that.
Some
Some years back, he actually joked on a talk show. I think it was his comedy something. I don't know, and he joked about somebody being bold in the audience, or production in the thing, and he laughed about it. And social media today, I brought that out and said, listen, it's all right when you were saying it. Why is it that another fellow comedian like yourself is saying this, and this is the way you decided to react? So that brings the question: if the comedian was white, would Will have hit that comedian?
Oh, not love to hear. I actually think, because I considering the factors of it, I thought if Chris Rock was someone else, would Will have done that? Whereas if 50 Cent's a troll, right?
Yeah.
50 Cent is one of the biggest trolls on social media attacking other celebrities, right?
Okay. Yeah.
If 50 Cent was on that stage and made that comment about Jada, would Will have gone?
Even me, if I was Will Smith, now 50 Cent that said that, I'd be like, yo, my brother. But Chris Rock, I'll try my luck because it's featherweight. Me too, I will try
But this is what I think part of the problem is, that Will is sick and tired of being seen as this soft, weak man. And this is how he thinks he's manning up. But really, if you did slap him in the face, you're putting yourself in massive danger.
Oh, definitely. Because if Chris was my client, we'll definitely be suing Will.
Whose side
we'll be suing the guys
on? Whose side are you guys
on? Will's side. You know, alopecia is something that a lot of people suffer from. It's actually called alopecia areata. It's a medical term. Alopecia is a medical term for bald. The areata, it means patchy.
I don't pray for it.
Different parts of the body.
I don't pray for it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I have my problems with hair loss. I mean, it's something that we want to deal with. But the reality is, in the world that we live in, can you go around slapping people in the face?
Wait, can I just say something? I've just looked over to the front of the thing, and I just see one of our team members slapping another bald sleeping member's head. So when you see shiny heads, you see a shiny head, automatic thing is to just slap or
and that's what you would call alopecia totalis.
Alopecia
and that, yes, it's the loss of all the hair from the entire
I don't pray
scalp,
for it.
And then you have the alopecia universalis.
Oh God! It's a mouthful. Let's move on. It's a mouthful. Let's hit. It's just a handful. It's a handful.
Well, there are solutions. I did find one product. It's 100% natural, and it's called We Are Plant Based. So guys, check it out. They do have solutions for alopecia, so you don't have to suffer and deal with the
embarrassment of it. Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Solutions out there.
So main topic today, guys, is race. Is it a crime or offense? Being a person of color, is it a crime? Is it an offense? We're going to first start with, remember last week we were talking about the child Q and what was happening with her. So child Q update is basically, for those who weren't here, the backstory was that a schoolgirl was subjected to humiliation strip by 2 police officers at her school. There was no safeguarding issues whatsoever. There wasn't any teachers. The parents were not called, and that's what happened. Any development since?
Yes, actually, one of the teacher who called the police on her was actually sacked. They're calling for the head teacher to resign.
Get the head out.
There's been protests at the school. Diane Abbott's been out there.
I love it. I heard her speech.
She's not happy. She's been going crazy, and it's shocking that what actually happened. And I'm glad that it's not going away. And it's next week, and we're still talking about it. And I think we should continue to talk about it because something has to change.
It's profound.
And she was saying that it's not the first time. I think she said something like, is it 85? I can't remember. That might be the wrong statistic. My statistic being probably tell me I'm wrong. But he said something like 85 85 in London of child searches. So
strip searches.
Well, yeah, the numbers might be wrong. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of searches that happen. It's not an isolated event.
Well, if you had the same experience, how would you feel? What would you do?
I mean, but this is the degradation that a lot of people have to do with, and you have to humble yourself, and you're in certain positions. Because when you're arrested, you do not have the power. So what obviously I wouldn't be happy with it. But if the police are there telling you you've got to do this and you've got to do that, what do you do?
Even me
and if I don't do it, what are you going to do? Hold me down and tear off my pipe? Do you know what I mean?
I think for me, I would probably comply because there are people in uniform. And people in uniform, that's why I can't do the whole, when people are like, oh, I love a man in uniform. No, I don't. I don't. When I see someone in a police uniform, especially, and you stop me, automatically, I don't know if it's because my parents have always been like, if you see the police, or don't say anything, comply, do what they want, want you to do. So I will do it to a certain stage. But when it comes to a situation where you're stripping me, and then you're telling me I've got to open, it's very graphic.
This is a search. So for criminals who break the law and they take them in the cells, this is what they're subjected
Well, to be honest, you don't have to be arrested to be stopped and searched. Yes, they detain you at the time of the stop and search, but I think people just need to know their rights. The police don't act off their own accord. They have rules, they have laws to follow, and they're governed by the PACE Act, and it's the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, and it's quite specific. So,
but don't you think the situation was well out of proportion? Don't you feel like this whole thing?
Yes, definitely. I was just going to touch on basic stop and search. They have to have reasonable suspicion and believe that you're maybe en route or in the process of committing an offence. They can't just stop you because they feel like it, and that's where racial profiling comes in.
Okay.
Black people are disproportionately stopped by the police because they're supposedly criminals. And one thing that is quite frustrating for us is when these violations take place, the police, what they do, they like to discourage people from getting the report at the end of the search and say, it's going to take you an extra 20 minutes. And the person will be more likely to say, I've got to go. I'm out of here. But if you know that you've been unlawfully stopped, detained, searched by the police for no reason other than what you look like, the location where you are, maybe hanging out with your friends and wearing a hoodie on your head, you get that report, you follow it through, and if it shows that you were unlawfully detained and searched, you claim compensation from the Metropolitan Police. And maybe things like this will be an incentive to stop them from flipping doing it, because it's a continuous thing. It's never stopped.
So the Safeguarding Review found in 2020, when this actual incident happened, they actually they did an investigation, which was unjustified, and was, a lot of people are saying it's very geared towards racism, because the influencing factor is the fact that this girl is black and she smelled of marijuana. Now, if she was white or Caucasian and she smelled of marijuana, weed, if she smelled of weed, would they have stopped her anyhow, and would they have strip searched her to the level of, it was the graphic, it was the graphic, it was too graphic.
They took her out of her exam.
Wow. I didn't even know that.
She was doing this, apparently she was in an exam and they took her out. The girl didn't know what was going on. You just taken her out of her exam to come and strip and search the child. And it's like, they could have used their common sense.
They didn't have any common sense. They're not trained in safeguarding. They don't understand the steps to take.
The school should be, and it's crazy that this is
allowed. They had an option to call her mum, right? They had an option to call her mum down to the school. Look, we want to strip. Do you understand? They had options.
It's abuse of power. They didn't do any of that.
This is a lot
in accordance with their duty.
A lot of the time, like you say, in schools, there is a lot of,
documented, unscrupulous, untrained. When something's biased.
Instead of racism, they're using the new word. What is it? Unconditional bias, or the racism.
Call it as it is. Yeah.
Unconscious bias.
Unconscious bias.
Okay. Unconscious bias in schools, and they treat people from certain backgrounds with a certain disdain. And we see it all the time. You think about the school to prison pipeline, where a lot of young people are excluded and they're pushed into PRUs. You will see there's a disproportionate amount of black boys and black girls. And it's like, these things happen, and it's something that happens consistently, so much that we almost don't notice it. unless you're looking and you're aware. And this is the kind of thing that happens. She's treated in a certain way. They might not have told their parents because, those kind of parents. It's like sometimes
they think you don't care.
They're not going to care. So let's just go ahead and do it. But really, if your child smells of marijuana and you think that child is smoking weed, you should be calling the parents and letting them know.
And then taking it from there, isn't it, really? Now, let's look at racial disparities, inequalities in employment and in the education system. Right. I know that we all fight for the cause. I've been to quite a lot of events where, we are very spoken, such things. But what do you guys feel about the racial inequality, the disparity within the education and in employment? I know we kind of touched on in education, but in employment, what about that?
Oh, well, I definitely think there's institutional racism in every aspect of society. And from companies, education, the housing, police stop and search, the courts, the sentence, the prison, everything. And there's no change. They put systems in place to make it look good. If you feel that you've been treated, unfairly, they've got the Equality Act, they've got the Human Rights Act.
And all companies have those. They have it in their thing, but are they really practicing?
It almost became an offence.
Make it look good
to me, because I was asked by my school to be like Black Lives Matter.
My company did.
And I was like, well, first of all, I don't follow like the Black Lives Matter. The fact that you're even saying that shows that you don't really have an understanding of what's going on. It's not about Black Lives Matter, it's about the rights of Black people and what we're entitled to and being treated fairly. And it's like all the schools in the borough had a representative and there was meetings where you sit there, well, what are we going to do about it? How are we going to deal with this? I didn't even know about this. And it's like everyone's trying their hardest to do the right thing, but almost in doing that, it's like the same system that you're going into. It's really difficult. I think people are trying. There are some people that are trying, but how much impact that has.
Okay, my personal experience with that is that over the years, I realized that a lot of my brothers and sisters, when they put out their CVs, they don't get called. Now, what we started to do was, like, for example, my name is Amina, my Muslim name is Amina, and on my CV it says Amy or Ami. So an abbreviation, like half my name, isn't it? And what I realized is I always get called back whenever I change my name to Ami or Amy, which is still my name, it's just half my name, right? And when I apply for work and I put in Aminat, I don't even get callbacks, but it's the same CV. However, my name is, and I spell my last name different. When I get the job, I'll tell HR, this is the spelling of my name.
Really?
Yeah.
Well done.
So how do you spell it then?
Yeah, so I will spell O-K-I-J-I, Okiji, as Okiji, O-K-E-E-G-E-E. So it may look like an Irish girl. What is she? They're not really sure.
Kiji. Could be the name is Kiji.
I'm Amy Okiji. So when I get in there, then they're like, oh, let's see this bubble of blackness, beauty and bright. And then I fool them with myself, and it's like, no, I could do the job. In fact, I could do it sleeping. But you need to just get me in first. And in order to get my foot in the door, is I brand my name as whatever you want to.
It sounds a bit more,
And some people say, is that fraud? That's fraud. No, it's not, because once I get the job, straight away I say, but this is it.
Because me, I've got a very white-sounding name, like Natalie Wright, because it's Caribbean, so like Natalie and Wright. So I could send my CV,
get further, but obviously I wouldn't really know about that side of it. But even like interviewing is another thing. You can get through the interview, but I find that once you're in a position, going up, especially within education, there is definitely at the top. And it's funny because I work in behaviour. So a lot of the staff at the bottom, the ones that are there actually dealing with the young people every day, working with them, mentoring them, guiding them, look like me. Just
the ones at the top, they look
it's
like
what frustrates me.
Yeah.
It frustrates me.
It's like the NHS. I remember in COVID when they were saying that the blacks were dying, blacks and Asians, and it wasn't that. It was just that they were the ones on the
front line.
Do you understand?
And that's what really annoys me, is that for the people on the front line, or the people working with the youth that are of bad behaviour, are the ones that are brown people. Black brown people are the ones that I predominantly see. Now, the ones that are coming up with the laws and the way that things will go and where the money and funding is going are of a Caucasian colour or whatever it is. And so they're not really on the ground doing the groundwork. So it's very easy for them to be like, oh, that doesn't need attention, or we'll just give them a little bit of budget. But we need more love, support and care, and it really just upsets me. Housing, you were mentioning about NHS and about pregnancy. I think you kind of said about downplaying, weren't you? Downplaying pregnancies and saying that when a black woman, the NHS, this happened actually during COVID, there was a black woman, she was a dancer, and she was pregnant, and she kept on complaining about pain. Even when I went into hospital, and then they'll be like, "Oh, it's not that much, it's not that time, blah blah blah." So as a black person, we fight to be stronger and to show that no, I'm okay. But the girl was complaining, heavily complaining about the pains that she was feeling, and they neglected her. She died.
Wow.
This girl died. Okay, and it's a situation that is ongoing. Why is it even in the NHS that a black person will enter and come with complaints? Or GP come with complaints, and it's kind of like, oh, it's not really, we'll just wait till it gets worse. We'll wait with you till it gets worse. But I have friends where they'll be like, I call my GP, I've got a cold, I see my GP straight away. I'm like, wait, how is this working? Do I need to go private? Is it because I'm black? When they open their system, do they automatically see this is person of African descent, this is person of Caribbean descent? We disregard them, we'll deal with them last. Like, I don't know how their system works, but that was something that I felt very, very passionate about. I actually cried because the girl had gone in, she was heavily pregnant. I see it happen all the time, and they will say, hold it for as long as you can, we'll wait till the last minute. But if it was a white person screaming down the place, it's going to be a different story. So I don't know. How do you feel about NHS and their disparity and downplaying?
Well, I did hear that black women are more likely to die during childbirth than a white woman. I couldn't actually comprehend that.
Why?
When I had my children, I had a black, he was, like the head, the consultant. Sorry. And he actually delivered 3 of my children. So my team were fantastic. I didn't understand that. I can't comprehend it. But again, it would only come down to discrimination, isn't it? Let's not sugarcoat it. Let's call it as it is. Why is that?
Yeah, the numbers don't lie.
About the justice system, how black people have harsher punishments and our Caucasian counterparts experience things slightly different. Why is that, and how can we change? Is there anything we can do about this?
I think it's a lot to do with mentality, because if you think about how people see drugs, even, you know what I mean, like certain things like weed and the way that you'll be treated for weed, or like crack, but the cocaine, which tends to be a predominantly, more elite drug, right, it's much more acceptable. You get people like Kate Moss, you can get shamed, everybody knows what goes on around there,
right? But
then on the other side, if you've got people taking drugs, doing things like that, they get treated in a much harsher way.
Well, that's strange actually, because about a week ago I read in the paper that the police evidence lockers were untraced. Like, there was a lot of evidence going missing, so a lot of the cocaine, a lot of the cannabis going missing from the actual police lockers around the UK.
Wow.
And that they had the security code on the outside. It was an investigation that was done on this. There was a security code on the actual door, so anyone could just enter in and out as they pleased.
What, to take the drugs and then put it back on the street?
No,
well, put in there. Who knows what they do?
That's what they
on Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. So but this is it. This is what they do. They'll take the drugs and then take to their little pubs and that, or take to their little bars and that, and then it's fine.
Take it to their pubs.
Take it to Boris's
because that's where they go.
Boris's party, that part.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. Let's not even go into Boris and his parties and that. Whilst we were all locked up, trying to behave ourselves.
Sorry, going back to the prisons. The prisons are obviously filled up with young black
boys.
And it's a system, because it's about money, isn't it? It's going from the schooling system, put them in the prison system, the drug system on the road. It's a system.
Have you guys seen the show by 50 Cent called For Real? Okay, so Kike, one of our producers, was talking about it to me, and it's basically about a life in prison. It's like those boys that were stopped. You remember the 5 boys that were stopped many years ago for raping a white woman? Yeah. And she screamed and made noise about it, and they ended up going to jail for like 2 centuries or so. Missed out on their lives, their families, whatever, and it came out that the woman was lying. After 20 odd years, we found out that the woman was lying. So the police officer,
that was something. They hate us, I can't remember.
What? Oh, that was the name of the movie. Yeah. When They See Us, or When They See Us. When They See Us.
Yeah.
I think that's very powerful.
It was a very powerful film.
And I think if you haven't seen it, you should go and watch it, because if you are a parent and you have children, you might want to share that with them. Not to put fear in them, just to be aware, to know that we as a species, we are beautiful, we are gorgeous, we are always sought after, and they will find any way to try and bring us down. But let's not. Oh, guys, do you remember when the whole Black Lives Matter? There's something that's really sticking in my head. When Black Lives Matter, there was an activist group of black women, and they were saying Black Lives Matter movement. But what we found out years later, so we jumped on it. Everybody was like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. We now found out that no, these women are actually just fighting for the fact that they're LGBT. They're not. Y'all need to go.
You're not late. Seriously,
no.
They were kind of. If you looked at their ethos and what they supported, there was definitely a lean towards lesbian. It was about people, not really about men, and that's why a lot of black people got a bit like, well, no, it's not about LGBT. It's about black rights, and that's why a lot of people are like Black Lives Matter. Because I've got my poem on track, which is going to be, but it says Black Lives Matter in it, and it almost makes me cringe because a lot of black people feel uncomfortable with even hearing Black Lives Matter because of what they represent, and Soros and the person who was funding it.
Yeah.
Well, so that had
white liberals, didn't it? Really, that was covering it.
There's a lot of conspiracy theories about why and how he was funding it, but it wasn't necessarily about black liberation. And that's why I came up with Black Liberation Movement, because it's about liberating black people. Or Moors.
Nat, can you give us towards the end? Can you give us a little bit about that poem? I feel like it's really powerful.
Definitely.
But before we do that, did you guys see Will and Kate? You know the royals?
This is good. No,
I don't care for them.
This is funny because I saw a little clip of this woman sitting next to Kate, and then Kate was like,
and the woman turned away.
Like, no, we're not loyal.
Yes.
I have to sit next to you. We're not loyal.
It was literally, and she was trying to have a little chit chat with her. And the woman boycotted her, like, who is you? I do not know
Megan, honey. And even Beanie said it. If it was Megan and Harry, then yes.
Look, she ignored her and looked back like, no, I don't know you. I don't know you.
Sorry, we don't.
Right. So what do you think? What did you think, guys? What do you think went wrong when Will and Kate decided to go visit the Caribbean?
Did you see the way they entered with the gate up to there and they're reaching over the fence like they don't want to touch them?
She didn't.
I know.
You got all of these niggers. You got a whole million niggers.
Can I just say,
faces on the side of the thing.
It boils me. It boils me. Not very passionate. Look at this. It's like, why is the gate? Was it you? Kate.
Look at Will's face.
Well, I reckon it was
like the
these two
gate is
couples.
there for security, so that's a threat. You're seeing a threat there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like, no, we have to be here.
She's actually holding their hand. This one. I had one where she was letting them hold a fingernail. Not even a finger, a fingernail.
But when they went to what country? I don't know what country it was.
What do you grab them for the gate and pull them close?
And they were playing. Oh, look at this.
But that's why my boy, my princess's son, the ginger one that married my girl. Harry. Harry. That's why Harry bounced. He was like, they're trying to call my child that's coming into this world a monkey. Yeah. Like, look how she's waving with these Canadians because they're all Caucasians or whatever they are. They look fair.
But they're all up. They've gone to the Caribbean. They did the basic thing, played the old bongos and that a bit.
No, but the Caribbean people were loving it. They're like, our money.
In
fact, the fact that the royals, they said they don't want no royals. They don't want you. You guys come, you've come and oppressed our people for years and years. And yet we are still coming for your publicity because it was a marketing strategy. They needed to go up in there, show that because which one? Harry and Meghan were like, okay, someone in the royals has something to say, so they need to play up to the fact that we're not racist, we're going to a black country. But the people of that country said, you're not coming here to spend our money on marketing. We don't want you.
Well, but it's funny, we say we don't want you, but then if you think about what's happening with like the Yandex and like those countries, the people that are still very much controlled by the UK and those people in power, dominate what happens over there, and they're the first guinea pigs, and it's really sad.
So wait, in Jamaica is now the first place that they're using
programmable digital currency. Yeah, so they've gone over there. Jamaica's the first one, and they've got the Aki sign. The Aki. What's that cheek? They've got the Aki. So, and this programmable currency is going to be limited, but it's almost like a voucher. So.
You can't buy.
So if you want to go buy cigarettes,
alcohol,
yes, they might say, well, you've had your quota, so your money won't work. So they're bringing it in, but they're bringing it in sneakily.
Yeah.
And then the Chancellor of the Exchequer over here is saying, I watched the video over here where they're saying, well, we're going to bring in our digital currencies. So they're the guinea pigs still.
Well, that's why they've had to do on doing Oyster, isn't it? It's getting people used to a system before they implement it. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, right. So let's round up. We've got like 5 minutes, but before we round up, I really want to hear Nat's poem. But before we do that, what about sports? How the Olympics prevent top black athletes from competing in events? Do you remember this Sha'Carri Richards? Sha'Carri. There she is. Right. So Sha'Carri Richards is she was drug tested and she tested positive. Right now, a non-black is a Russian skater got tested positive, but my girl's still swanning away, skating up on the ice and being involved in events. Why? And even not just about her. What about Leah Thomas? Caster Maria, right? Double standards. So this woman, she's an athlete. The one to the left, she is actually a woman, but she's got like hormonal imbalance. It's like it's genetics, right?
Yeah, genetics.
So due to genetic things, they're saying to her that she can't run. But yet we have this other person called Leah Thomas, right? Leah Thomas was born as a man, and at the age of 21 decided that I want to be a woman. 21. Right, so Leah Thomas is walking through the changing rooms, swinging bits and bobs, and things are still swinging. But she comes out in a swimming bathing suit, and she swims, she wins.
Has she still got penis?
Yeah, she's still weird.
Yeah,
she hasn't even had the op. So you're man. Sorry, guys,
and he used to
trans out there.
I know it's a very sensitive subject, but it's
sensitive.
sensitive to me as well. Because it's like we're almost told what we have to see you as and how you are. You still have a penis, you still have the testosterone, you still have the strength. You're going to be more strong than the women. So how can you be the fastest swimmer in the world when a lady who was born vagina and a clitoris and breast is not allowed to take part?
Have you seen the man in UFC and he's now fighting women because he's done the whole...
Yeah, I saw that.
And he's broken up women.
You're crunking up women's necks. Is that all right? I'm sorry, that's not all right. That's not all right, I'm sorry.
No. I can't deal with it. I feel like
it makes me mad.
I'm disgusted by it all because if we're talking about Caster Semenya, she is actually born recognized as a woman. However, she might be big or whatever, but she is an actual woman. But when we look at Leah Thomas, I'm not making jokes of it or anything, but Leah Thomas, even the Jenner guy, you know the Jenner woman, the one that used to be the husband that changed into a woman. No, Kylie Jenner, that was the husband.
Yes, and they made him woman of the year, isn't
right.
it? The first year he decided to say he was a woman.
Even she is complaining, saying, okay, I was an athlete, I trained as a man, I did Olympics as a man, and now I've decided to be a woman in my 50s. That's fine, but even they are saying it is wrong.
It's a struggle, isn't it?
It's wrong. Right. So before we round up, I'm saying it. I want y'all to hear it. I want to hear my girl, my sister, my poetic beauty, my poetic Natalie beauty, naturally right. Little aliases. I wanted to drop it. Drop it now.
Okay. This poem is called "We Will Rise." Black exclusion. Black persecution, black blood splatters, black execution. Last breath shed in another scene. Worldwide, protesters in the street, chanting Black Lives Matter. I can't breathe. Some would say that all lives matter, but for centuries it's black lives that have been in tatters. I know my life matters, and I shouldn't have to say, but I'm saying it. Because I'm still fighting the same fights that my ancestors fought yesterday. I'm unapologetic. There's no need to co-sign. Black people, black power. We will rise, we will rise.
Okay, so today has been full of so much. I'm sure you have so much to say. Our phone lines are not currently online, but we have our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter. Take to the Twitter and hit us up with your comments, your suggestions, your views, your talk. Talk back to us. Let us know what I want. See you next week.